It's Women's History Month. We've got a couple of segments talking about work with young girls and young women. The school system is trying to realign and deal with that footprint issue, and the library system saves the day dealing with the budget. We'll start with that. Roll it, Kirk. Well, last week you heard from a member of the Metro Council about the budget crisis that could be averted, dealing with money here in East Baton Rouge Parish. The library system, mosquito and abatement, and the Council on Aging stepped up to give back some money to help close the gap. The library system will maintain an 8.3 millage, and that will move their budget to about a $48.1 million a year annual budget, and there's a lot of details in the details. And so who best to talk with than Mary Stein, the Assistant Director at the East Baton Rouge Parish Library System. So when first we spoke, you did not know how the smoke was going to clear.
Right.
And now we seem to have a better idea.
Well, it's a really long process,
Yeah.
but there's plenty of time between now and a fall election to really hammer out all the details and be able to have a really clear, concrete understanding of how this will affect the library for the next 10 or 11 years. So that's what we're doing now. We're going back to our spreadsheets and finessing our numbers to see what if we cut a little bit here and delay something a little bit there. But the important thing for us was to remain dedicated, which this will keep us dedicated, and to be able to keep all of our service hours at all 15 library locations, because we're opening a new one on Monday.
No, trust me, Alyssa in the back is already, we got to spend time talking about that or I won't be able to return next week. Let's go, take us into the negotiation room. When you guys sat around the table, I know there's some details you can't get into, but give us what you can. Tell us how you came to what you believed was an acceptable compromise for your organization in this process.
Well, one of the hard things that people have to understand is there are many cooks in this kitchen, and there's many recipes, and we're trying to get something out of that kitchen that protects the library, keeps it moving forward, but also assists the rest of the city parish, because people have to understand that the library is just one department within a whole, and if the other departments aren't healthy, we're not healthy either. It'd be as if you had a bad leg. You want to pay attention to that leg. You don't just cut it off and say, oh, the rest of me is fine. So everything we do goes through some department of city parish. So we need city parish to be functioning and efficient, just like the voters want us to be functioning and efficient. So a lot of meetings between all the different people with many different ideas. There was a lot of brainstorming going on with members of the Metro Council, members of the mayor's staff, the mayor himself, and then civic organizations, public groups, homeowners organizations, nonprofits. They were all coming in, and that is one thing that has been so heartening, Clay, because the outpouring of support and engagement from the public over the last 6 weeks is phenomenal. And that is democracy in action. So people need to take that away as a positive.
So that leads me to my next question about this process, and that is this. You and the city parish have come to a compromise, and all of your partners have come to an acceptable middle for all of y'all. But the people still have to buy it.
That's right.
So then what is your message to the constituency of not just the library system, but EBR as a whole?
Well, as we craft this message going into a fall election, the message really will be promises made, promises kept for the past 40 years. Give us another 10 years to go through this process again and keep delivering the excellent library services that people not only expect but deserve and need. So we're confident that we can shape our budget for the next 10 years to the point where we can deliver those services.
Did you get any pushback, either internally or from supporters in the community, to say don't accept any change or editing of the monies we're getting?
Yes, there was public discourse about this, and y'all came and covered them, and people were very engaged at the 3 town meetings the Metro Council held, and then we had meeting after meeting after meeting in our libraries, and people are trying to understand the process. Many people did not realize we were part of city parish, and they didn't understand why any of this was in play, as it were. And then people are concerned about the future of the library and our ability to deliver those services. So yes, there's been a lot of pushback.
Well, Alyssa, can I get another minute here? Because I want to ask you, one, about the guide you have here and these books you have. And then first tell me about the new library that's open.
Okay, South Branch Library, our newest baby, fully paid for, because that's the way we roll. Pay as you go.
I like it.
That's it. We will open the doors for a modified schedule on Monday morning at 10 o'clock. And so that the first couple of weeks, it'll be Monday through Thursday, 10 to 7. Friday we'll be open, and Saturday we will be open in the afternoon. We won't yet have the Sunday hours and the evening hours because we haven't hired and placed all the people. We don't have phones yet, and some of the furniture isn't there. But it's good enough, it's full enough and staffed enough to go ahead and get those community patrons in, because Clay, they've been coming in anyway. The door will open and there'll be a stranger and they're like, "Are you open yet?"
All right, so hold this right here. I want you, because there's a shot of this. And I know you're making Kirk nervous back there. All right, tell me what this is.
So One Book, One Community has kicked off with Season of Life. It's incidentally about a football coach.
Really?
In Baltimore, who a former NFL player who became a high school football coach, and it is really about intentionality and mentoring and building relationships with young people.
I love that.
And so that was our One Book, One Community. We kicked it off Friday, and we'll be running this through the end of April. So everyone is welcome to read along with us. It's a skinny book, Clay.
That's right, it is. Listen, as this moves along, can I get you to come back?
Absolutely.
And here's a really important question. Is this mine?
Yes, that is for you.
Very good. All right, coming up next, we'll talk about education in East Baton Rouge Parish with Adonica Duggan. And here's where you can catch me right now. The new graphic, the contact information. I'm telling you, don't do it. I'm boring on social media. Don't follow me. Well, welcome back. Our monthly education spotlight features a conversation with Adonica Duggan with the Baton Rouge Alliance for Students. Listen, they're celebrating 4 years, and it's so amazing when she told me that it's like, it's been 4 years already, and so we'll come back to that and talk about the work the Alliance has done and what's on the horizon for the very near future.
Yes,
how's it going?
It's going great. A lot to be excited about in Baton Rouge around education.
This is true. So let's start with one of the bigger stories, and that deals with this realignment the superintendent at EBR Schools is trying to accomplish, which basically means they want to close some of their school inventory that's underused. The system has a 60,000 student footprint, but serves right around 40,000 students. And so there's a way to save a lot of money. It's complicated, you know, AD, because you can't put certain kids from certain places in certain areas. That is not the most friendly thing to talk about, but it's a reality. What is your take on how the realignment has gone?
I think it's a real opportunity to rededicate resources in ways that better serve students. While, you know, we often focus on the cost-saving measures, I think it's an opportunity to redesign what do we want for every child in our city. So, you know, when you have schools that are so small that they can't offer the experiences that kids deserve, where they can't offer a social worker on every campus, where they can't have high quality educators in every classroom, this is an opportunity to say, what do we want for every kid in our city? What does that mean for the size of schools that we need? What does that mean for the location of schools that we need? How do we think about transportation? Just to reimagine, and I think that the board has really approached it with a good set of guiding principles, and it's tough work, but I'm optimistic that this administration and this school board will get it done.
Look, I'm optimistic about the way the last several months have gone with their ability to tackle major issues. The school board meetings have stayed out of the news.
Listen, we're getting out at a reasonable hour. You know, it's lovely.
That's exactly right. You're not leaving at midnight. So, you know, I watched this process play out in Caddo Parish. And one of the sticking points was parents who showed up at these meetings for no other reason than to say they didn't want their alma mater to be closed, right? And it's sticky. You get the pride of having been in that school, but in many cases they haven't been on the campus in 20 years.
That's right.
And you're talking about the potential a potential multi-million-dollar savings, move if you do this.
Absolutely. I recognize that schools are community assets.
Yes.
And that we all feel passionately about our schools. For those of us who went to McKinley High, we all feel passionately about our schools. Nobody has a school as great as mine, but whatever your high school is, you feel great about it, right? But I will tell you that we can't continue to operate schools in a way that doesn't serve the best interests of students.
Yeah.
And that's what we have to prioritize in this conversation. I don't think the board is looking at high schools right now, but ultimately you have to start saying, how do we concentrate resources in the ways that best serve students, and what does that mean for the facilities footprint of the system moving forward?
Yeah. So as a part of the socioeconomics, I mentioned in the open of the segment, the issues with turf here,
Yes.
and kids not mixing well when they have to encounter each other in different parts of Baton Rouge. That's one of the reasons we have so much fighting at that transfer site near the Breck Park on Sherwood, is because you got these kids who run into each other and they just start going at it. I would hope that is a part of this as they lay out their plan.
I think that there are a lot of considerations around neighborhoods and making
Yeah.
sure that you have great opportunities in every part of the city. I think that that's something that we certainly have to reflect on. But I also would say that kids from this city mix in a lot of different environments, and it's about setting the culture of what our expectations are for them. I think that there are some schools that bring in kids from across the city and you never see that level of problems.
Yeah.
And so we have to stop, limiting what we expect from young people.
Yep.
By not allowing them the opportunity to demonstrate that they can do this and that they can rise to the occasion, and that we can set the conditions for their success.
So that's a perfect segue into the advocacy work the Alliance has been doing now for 4 years, which is still hard to believe. We were joking during the commercial break that only somebody like you would start an organization in the direct aftermath of a pandemic. But
Yeah.
let's couple these together. Tell me the biggest accomplishments you've had and what's on the horizon for the future.
I think that the conditions and the focus that the city is placing on the importance of centering K-12 education in building the community that we want have been a real success for us. I think that we have been able to help a lot of people think about their role in advocating for students and coming to the table. We saw a really contentious superintendent search that
Yeah.
focused the entire attention of our city on, getting to the right leader, and I believe that we got to the right leader.
We did indeed.
And I think that that is ultimately another success. I certainly wouldn't say that that's the Alliance's success, but I think it's another
We're part
success
of
of the community,
Yeah.
right? And so I think that our work over the last 4 years has been helping people to think about how they fit into the conversation around making sure that our kids are well served. And
Yeah.
there's a lot of positive momentum in that direction, and it gives us a lot of hope about the future.
The biggest stumbling block you believe that still has to be addressed here in EBR is what?
Oh, that's a tough one.
That's how we do it over
I
here.
know, right? No softballs. I think that really, I think that the budgeting process and also this facilities realignment allow us the opportunity to double down on the things that we say matter.
Yeah.
Budgets are a statement of values. I know I say that every time I come here, but how are we concentrating our resources against the things that we know best serve students? How are we prioritizing having a great educator in front of them every day? And are we
Yep.
incentivizing our educators to do that by the way that we pay them? Are we investing in the things that we know work? And so aligning our resources, whether they're facilities or whether they're financial, to the things that we know work for kids, and not getting so caught up in how that impacts adults. That's the work ahead.
4 years strong, and she ain't going nowhere. Adonica Duggan with the Baton Rouge Alliance for Students. She'll be back next month for our monthly education spotlight. Thanks, AD.
Good to see you.
It's Women's Empowerment Month, and we're going to do the next segment talking about an event taking place this weekend with a great list of people participating. I'll tell you about that next. And listen, here's where you can catch the show every week. You can download the app and get it early streaming on Fridays, and that's where it is on Friday night at 7 p.m., replaying Saturday at 3 p.m. and on YouTube. There is an event taking place this weekend at Glen Oaks High. The event is titled She Looks Like Me. It's a youth empowerment program, mostly targeted at young women. And Dana Winbush is one of the organizers, easy for me to say, of the event this weekend at Glen Oaks. And you were telling me during commercial break how this came about. Our good friend Joe Anthony, aka DJ Marquise, kind of had the idea. Tell that story.
Well, it was a young lady that was having a very rough time one morning, and he noticed her and he said, you're such a pretty young lady. Look at your hair. You look so pretty. And immediately she blossomed in, to that smiling young lady, and it prompted another woman to tell him, we don't find that often where people pour life into our youth.
Yeah.
So that sparked the idea of him to do this She Looks Like Me event.
So tell me about what the event is and who's going to be there, because you have one heck of a guest list.
Oh yeah, it's women empowerment. It's also just letting positive body imaging, letting young black women or young black ladies know that it's okay to look the way you are. You are original. You cut from a different cloth. You can come from any backgrounds and still walk in positive environments. Like we have. Councilwoman Tawana P. Harris is going to be a guest.
That's my people right there.
Yes, Senator Regina Barrow.
That's another great one.
Judge Erica Green.
Yes.
You have
Vanessa LaFleur is going to be there too.
Vanessa
right?
LaFleur. Sateria Tate.
Sat.
Yes. We have it's a
Man,
big
some
lineup.
great names there. So are they going to be? Is it going to be mostly breakout sessions and workshops, or they're just going to be? You're just going to have a series of speakers.
A series of speakers, but also some breakout sessions, so the young ladies could get a one-on-one, like personal feel and personal touch of their stories, because all of these women that we mentioned, they have positive, strong testimonies that come from their humble beginnings to where they are now in life.
And they're very accomplished. I don't think, Dana, people understand the impact improving a young woman's self-esteem has on so many other things around her. Can you talk about that quickly?
Absolutely. Even myself as a young lady, I made a lot of wrong decisions because, mom's at work, dad's at work. We don't get that love poured into us, so we look for love in all the wrong places. And when you get older, you have excess baggage and a lot of heartbreaks.
Yeah.
So just pouring that into them at a young age now, giving them positive reinforcement that, hey, you can make better decisions. Don't align yourself with this. Don't look for love. Self-love,
Yeah, I love that. So there's where you can go and get a ticket. Admission is free, folks.
It's free.
If you have daughters, nieces, little sisters, and you're looking for something to pour positive energy into them, this is the event. It's at Glen Oaks High, 9 to noon. It's going to be beautiful on Saturday. And again, it's a free event, and you've got women from business and politics and so many other things pouring into our young little princesses. And I think this is a great, great thing. Shout out to Joe Anthony, man. Good work on this. And to you too, Dana. I appreciate you coming by.
And she looks like me.
I like it. I'm sure Kurt is keeping Courtney from strutting through master control right now. Listen, the C-Suite is all new on Monday. Last week, Chris Nakamoto was on the show. This week features a conversation at LSU at Alec Box Stadium. We were outside at home plate, Dana, with the desk. There it is, talking to Coach Jay Johnson about the Tigers and molding young men. It was a great conversation, and it'll drop this Monday on WAFB.com and on the app. So this is a great way to wrap up this episode. Laurel Matthews is here, and we're going to talk about this. She's got the crown. She's got the sash, Miss Black, Louisiana International. She's the ambassador. She'll be telling you in a moment about how she's going to be competing again to regain and keep her title. But let's talk about, what is that? What's that designation?
So my title is Miss Black Louisiana International Ambassador 2025, and in the previous years, I actually was crowned the very first Miss Black Teen International Ambassador. So this organization was mainly founded so that we can also show that we are ambassadors of change. Not so much the crowns, the sashes, and all of the glamour that comes with it, but very much so we are being beacons within our community to actually promote change.
And what does that look like once you have the crown? What are the activities you're doing with interacting with people in Louisiana?
So part of our thing is that we're supposed to have a platform, and with that platform we are supposed to have something that we're very passionate about, and mine is empower her, nurturing the mind, body, and soul. So you have to do certain community service projects. You have to also make sure that you make some meaningful connections within your community so that you can actually see what's going on within your community and how can you do things to actually promote change.
So tell me about Empower Her.
Yes. So Empower Her Foundation was actually founded when I started working in alternative education. And I started to see a lot of different issues that were going on with my students, whether that was behavior, whether that was just like the environment that they were in. And so for me, I am very loving. I feel for everybody. So one thing that I wanted to do was actually help in that way. So whether that was getting hygiene products or if that was actually, you know, making home visits, seeing whatever my students actually needed, and it kind of just branched out even more so.
I love that. And you touch kids or young women just here in the capital region or around the state?
Around the state.
Yeah.
So I also team up with local friends that I have in Hammond, as well as, you know, New Orleans and different things like that, to make sure that I can also help assist in that way too.
And you're an author. Tell me about that.
So a lot of people can't believe it, but yes, I am an author. I just produced my second book. So the first one was The Secrets to Empowering Holistic Healing, and the one that I just produced is actually 100 Ways of Self-Care for Black Women.
I love that. I love that. And then you're competing to regain or keep your title this summer.
Yes.
Tell me about that. Where you're doing it is pretty amazing, but if
Yes.
y'all need a judge, let me know. But tell us about that.
So, like I said before, I actually went my first year to compete and won the teen international title. So coming back after a 4-year gap is going to be amazing. But when we go to internationals, you have the opportunity to compete with women around the world, whether they're from Africa, Nigeria, and so you have that time to compete. And this time is actually going to be on a cruise in the Bahamas.
Yes.
So I am looking very forward to that, and we are definitely going to compete, whether that's evening gown, interview, cohort pitch, because like I said, this organization is more than just a pageant. It's also about being an ambassador to change. So like I said, I really look forward to it, and if I do come back,
You got to come back here if you win again.
Absolutely.
So how do y'all avoid? So you're competing in a pageant on a cruise, and all there is on a cruise is food. That's gonna be miserable.
Discipline. True discipline. I will say, my first year, it was so hard because we were in Atlanta, and you know, there's so many good food places in Atlanta. But I truly am gonna have to discipline myself.
Where can people find you? In less than 30 seconds. Where can they find you on social media?
On my social media platforms at Lario.Matthews or ms.Lario on Instagram.
Listen, I love it. She's gonna bring her crown back when she wins again. Next week, the superintendent of Breck, Corey Wilson, will be here on the show to talk with you about what's happening at the park system. You guys have a great weekend. See you next time.